Well, hello everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. My name is Jason Levine, and thank you so much for joining me today on Adobe Live, where we have a very special guest who's going to be showcasing some amazing skill, amazing talent in animation and illustration in Adobe Animate. Now, more importantly, this is a guest and a friend who is one of the original, the OGs of Adobe Live. So it is my great pleasure to welcome back to the program Mr. Mike Milo, the real Mike Milo. How are you doing, dude?
Hey, what's up, man? I'm good, thank you. Thanks for having me. This is a lot of
It is,
fun. I have to tell you, I always really enjoyed doing the Adobe stream. It was just a lot of fun, and I got to meet a lot of new people, and I actually made new friends, you and a number of other people, and so my time there is very well remembered. So
that's awesome. Well, you really brought a lot of, again, amazing content to the channel, and we're so glad to have you back. And I was going to give you like a full-on introduction. I mean, just for everybody. And hold on, I gotta pull this back up so I can keep it honest here. So obviously, people can read in the description there. You're an Emmy winner. You've worked for some of the biggest networks, obviously, including Cartoon Network, Disney, Nickelodeon, Smosh, Renegade, Marvel. You've worked on Scooby-Doo, everything from Scooby-Doo to Phineas and Ferb to one of my all-time favorites that actually connected us, unbeknownst to me in that moment, which was Uncle Grandpa, a bit of a cult favorite. But more importantly, what I love is like the history and all of the information and all of the details and the anecdotes that you bring to sort of animation when you're showcasing the work that you do. So tell us a little bit about what you're going to be working on today.
so I created this. I did this little short film um, a couple of months ago, and it's about an orca, a killer whale. It's about an orca that quits his job at Ocean World and decides to be a cowboy in Tombstone, Arizona. And
Nice.
and along the way, you know, he uh, he actually mistakes a salon for a saloon, and has a lot of fun with the ladies in there and whatnot. Gets to see, he says, "I like your shooting iron," and the shooting iron is really just a hair dryer. And
Right.
so there's a lot of misunderstood things, and it's a lot of fun though. And so I'm going to be animating one particular scene from that, or I'm going to do as much as I can in the time that we have, and
Nice.
hopefully show a little bit about how Adobe Animate works and the hierarchies that it uses for symbols, which I think is its biggest strength. So
Nice. Well, before we get into it, because I know you had like an animatic that you wanted to show, just a couple of quick, man, I'm doing great on speech today. A couple quick shout outs to everybody. So we've got Lori Andini, hello, Apurva PR, Umacorn, Keys, Karen Rex, Jack Watson, Michelle Saporito. Great to see you all. Stephanie, Jim, Denver, how's it going? And we'll have, again, lots more of you filing in over the next 90 minutes or so. So, tell you what, Mike, I'm going to switch over to your screen. And basically, you were going to show sort of a little animatic so people can get an idea. Actually, maybe, I know, got a lot of seasoned illustrators and animators in here, but for those who are unfamiliar, can you kind of explain what the animatic is?
yeah, sure. Well, as you're making a film, the first step obviously is the script. And then from that, you need to visualize that script because you can't film a script on its own. So what we do is we storyboard it out. And storyboarding is kind of like a visualization of the script, kind of like a comic book format of it. So you don't see the mouth motions, you don't see the color or anything like that. Occasionally you do, but mostly it's just to get an idea. Is the story working? Is the pacing working? Are the gags playing? Can you hear all the dialogue? Does everything work?
Right.
And so, so you put that all in something like Premiere, put the audio in there, and then time it all out, see how well it works. And this is the result. And
All right.
it's a 7-minute film, and I'm going to animate one of the scenes at the very end when he's sad and he's been told that he's not a real cowboy, and he's like, "Fine, I'll just go be a whale in a tank." And
Okay.
so
All right.
I did all the voices in this, so you'll hear a lot of those crappy voices. But
No, that's a prerequisite for anyone doing animation. I see we've also got the great Chris Georginas, keyframer, in here, who gives you a shout out. What's up, Chris?
Hey, what's up, Chris? I can't see the chat, by the way.
Yeah, if you're on the Behance page, don't you worry. I'll be funneling them to you as they come in. But let's go ahead and take a look at some of the animatic.
All right, sounds good. Here we go.
Ta-da! Oh, and I think you've got it on your other monitor.
I do?
I'm not seeing it now. I'm just seeing Animate.
That's funny. It's the same thing that we had before. All right, hold on. Let's see. Share camera, entire screen. Here we go. See it now?
Yes, we got it.
All right. Sorry.
All right.
Hey, yo, you up for a movie tonight?
Yeah, sure, let's do it.
Too bad old killer over here can't come.
Could you imagine?
Hey, found his front.
Ah!
Killer whale! Ah! It's okay, fellas. I don't need to watch anybody else's stream. I got my own. I see you tomorrow, killer.
Yeah, see you tomorrow.
I'm gonna be a real cowboy one day. I'm gonna have a booth. I'm gonna have a hat. I'm gonna have a vest. I'm gonna look like a real cowboy. Oh, what? What am I waiting for? I'm gonna be a real cowboy right now. I quit. Oh, did you know that some cowboys used to eat soup out of their hats? Huh? It's true. Thankfully, this is your stop. Okay, we love you, mean it, bye. I'm gonna be a real cowboy. My entire face smells like whale blood. Even my butt smells like whale blood. Why are you smelling your own butt? Oh, gee, everybody, so nice here. Wow, son of a sea biscuit. A cowboy shop. I'm gonna give me a hat. I'm gonna give me a vest.
Those sound effects.
Yeah.
Give me a lariat. Yeah. Where's the petite whale section? We don't have one.
No petite whale section, Mike. That's very inconsiderate of you.
I know. Well, it's that guy, not me.
That's right. Exactly right. It's his fault.
I'm petitioning for one.
Yes. No. That's yes. Let's be clear on that. Okay. That's awesome.
Now, did it get shot? No. Did it get hanged? No, but if it stops this conversation, I am open to it. Boy, we're going to have a lot to talk about tonight. I got to practice my cowboy walk and walk like my practice. Water break.
So hey, I'm going to ask you something about this. Let's pause it for a second here. So one of the things that I'm loving about this too is that so you're actually doing a lot of the sort of directing and camera ideas in the animatic. Is that a pretty standard thing when you're kind of building out your animations, or has that evolved over time? I remember when it was like just still Post-its kind of, slightly moving, but they didn't necessarily have all the camera direction. I love seeing this is kind of built up, kind of giving you an idea of just how it's going to cut together.
Well, in live action, they've got a lot of choices. When you're doing stuff in live action, you've got a person standing there. You can do this, you can do this, you can do up, down. You can choose on the fly your shots. And you can do multiple shots at the same time to check and see whether or not you like it. But in animation, there's so many steps. You really have to plan stuff out. You have to know exactly where it is, because when you start to animate, you don't want to start to reinvent the wheel. You already want the wheel invented, and you really want to trace things and do the squash and stretch that needs to be there and the lip sync and all that. But you really want to you plan stuff out as detailed as you can, including the camera moves, because that indicates that I might like say for this particular shot, I don't know whether or not when I do the background there, whether or not I'm going to see this building or I'm going to see this building. So if I'm not going to see them, why paint that part? If I, it's time wasted, and other than sharing it and going, look at what I can do, it doesn't really give you much.
Yeah, that makes sense. Hey, so listen, by the way, I know you've got that, there's that little overlay from sharing. You can just hide that right there, because I don't want it to cover up any of your...
Oh, yeah.
You just go ahead and hide that.
There.
Perfect. So I'll tell you what, man. Let's. We've got people clamoring. By the way, everyone's saying this is crazy hilarious. You got a lot of laughs in the chat here. Thank you, Michelle, Umakor, and Keys. That's hilarious. So why don't we get into it? Because I know people want to see kind of the process here, and we're going to talk a lot about. Again, we mentioned like the sound design and all the various pieces that come together with this. You doing the voice sync. And this ties a lot into the stream I had yesterday around, a lot of stuff that's happening in AI that promises to do, some of this work for some who are looking for that angle. Here they're going to get to see it sort of, live and raw, like how it really comes together in that process. And also, your passion in creating these things too.
Yeah. So this particular scene, I'll just play this scene really quick. And wait, let me turn off this mouth here. So, hold on. Well, you can.
May I just go back to being a dumb old whale in a tank?
So.
Hey, this here's a sticker.
So the whole scene.
May I just go back to being a dumb
basically him just
old
walking.
whale in a tank?
Hey, this here's a sticker.
And then he creates a hole in the wall and basically creates another problem by letting a thief come in and now rob the place.
Right.
So he's not really paying attention very much. Certainly not with his newfound friend. But sorry, I have to put my eyes on for this. So what I'm gonna do is just first of all create this little walk, and you can see all I did was just basically slide it across the screen.
Mm-hmm.
Get rid of the background. You can see.
May I just go back to being a dumb old whale in a tank?
I like how he just crashes through the wall.
Yeah. So, all right. So the first step in this would be to draw the big shapes. In animation, there's a lot of principles you have to use. One of them being squash and stretch. And if he's going to be this big, heavy set whale walking, he's gonna kind of have to, bounce a little bit as he does it. And so, there's all these details and stuff on him. But I'm just going to cut to the chase to start with and just draw out the basic shape. And hold on. Try and get a little bit of... Another thing in animation is called the line of action. And line of action is really useful because in a lot of ways, if you draw that line of action, I want to have him bending over. If I draw that first, I can kind of adhere the rest of the drawing to it, and it makes it a little easier to follow that emotion.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm going to draw. I'm not even going to draw like his boots or anything yet. I'm just going to get a very simple thing. So for anybody that's not used to using Animate, one of the powers that I like about it, the strengths, I guess, not power like superheroes, but
yeah. Hey, that's fine. It's a power for sure.
Yeah. Well, anyway, one of the strengths is that everything can have a timeline within a timeline. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to press F8, which is going to create a symbol for this this drawing that I just did, and then that way I will be able to have it encased in this symbol. And I won't select anything by mistake. It'll just focus on this. So I'm just going to call this KW walk. And now you'll see that it's got this blue box around it. And if I double click inside it, notice this. See this timeline? You've got all these frames of the timeline, all the layers. But if I click on this and double click, look, it all goes away. And now I don't have to deal with any of that. It's very simple and straightforward and makes things easy. So the second thing I'm going to do, I'm just going to draw out that quick one. I'm going to hit F7, which is going to give me, and I say F7 on my keyboard,
yes.
F7, and that creates an empty keyframe, as you can see. If I go up to the top here, I can turn on my onion skinning, which it looks like the MasterCard ad logo, but so. Doesn't it? That's exactly what it looks like.
Yeah, it does. It kind of does.
you can get a loan there too.
We do not claim any ownership to that logo or anything like that. This is
Right.
coincidence, just to be really clear. No partnership here. No product placement of any kind.
Yeah. So
very
another
clear.
thing here is, should probably do this drawing again now that I've got this one. But so as somebody walks, they're gonna kind of go back and forth a little bit. So if you see that from the side, you're gonna see that this arm kind of slides forward and backward to allow to pretend that he has volume. I guess that's probably the best way to do it. So if I go back and hold on, I just did the same thing twice. I'm going to draw this one over just so that it's cleaner. And but yeah, it's one of the things I actually really enjoy doing walk cycles because it allows you to like have designs of a character and have animation pretty quickly. I like to animate. I like to see things move. I don't know what it is about me, but I like that. And so it's
just the whole process, right?
Yeah. And so it's really nice to be able to do something like a walk cycle because it allows you to build on something very quickly. So all right, so now that I've got the two opposite. The front leg is forward, the front leg is back. So now I'm gonna add a drawing, and in between it. The way I'm gonna do that is I'm gonna hit F5, and you'll see that the keyframe is now gonna be 2 keyframes. F5 will add frames. F6 will add a keyframe, which I'm about to do. So I'm gonna hit F6 now, and that makes this a keyframe. Or I could have done, actually, I really want F7, which will make it a blank keyframe. Hold on. Because I want to draw, and then I'm going to turn my onion skin back on, and now I can see the two drawings, and now I'm going to squash his body down. Figure his body.
By the way, while you're doing that, Mike, you got a nice shout out from someone that you went to animation school with, Andrew Wilson.
Hey, Andrew, what's up, dude?
This is Mike is a great storyteller and artist. You could learn a lot from Mike. This is like the great HB cartoons. Couldn't agree more.
Thank you very much for saying that, dude. I appreciate that. All right, so, and yeah, Andrew and I have known each other a very long time. Been through a lot of stuff together.
Yeah, stuff. Good.
And
very well done there,
family
buddy.
chat. All right, now I'm gonna go and I'm gonna do the opposite one. This other piece, where his leg is the opposite of this, and I always cheat as much as I can. I'm just gonna literally copy it. I'm gonna paste it down again, and then I'm just gonna swap the legs, just to start with. And then when I really start to animate it, I will
you'll refine a bit.
Yeah.
Now, listen, just on that, because this is really interesting too, and I often ask people this. I mean, you're talking about a lot of keyboard shortcuts, and again, like, I'm just gonna do this sort of quick and dirty. We can fix it later. Is that pretty standard for most people that you know who kind of animate this way, or is it just a method you've developed over time to just be more efficient?
I think that a lot of people do kind of what I do because it's pretty much the established workflow in Animate. But I think that I like to think that I do things a little special. So
right. Of course you do.
So maybe there's something that I'm doing, but this first stage I would think is probably the same. I've watched a billion tutorials. I've done a billion tutorials.
Yes.
And yeah, they're all kind of similar. You start out roughing the thing out with the big shapes because you don't want to draw draw his face, draw his mouth, draw everything. If you do all that, you get caught up in the drawing itself. And what I really want is like the fluidity to it, the feel, the bounciness, the basics of it. And you can't really do that by putting in his little scarf and all that stuff. You see, I've done it now. Now I'm starting to add stuff. And things like the belt is useful because the belt actually will show, although I'm not demonstrating that yet because I didn't do it right, but the belt will show you a little bit of how his waist kind of slides,
Right.
Back and forth. And I can do that with the belt buckle. So if I give, looks like
And that's really interesting because as someone who's not not an illustrator or animator from the outside, I think the belt buckle almost seems inconsequential, but actually it's sort of an anchor for you for sort of indicating what the motion should look like over the walk cycle, right?
Exactly. Yeah. It's very useful if I can do it right. It's useful. Probably should. Another thing that's useful to do that I neglected to do just because I'm, demonstrating things. But another thing is to put like a line between the characters, just to bisect them so that you get a sense of where the body should be. And I should have put that first, and I didn't because I'm nervous. But
no need to be nervous, man. So hey, while you're doing that, I have a question for you. Maybe this is something for a bit later, but it's something I know we talked about before, and something that I love in your style is that when I watch a lot of the stuff you've worked on, you always have that kind of human weight to it. And I don't know if that's just that you make extra frames. In other words, it always, in the digital domain, your animation to me, and I mean this in the best sense, it always has that kind of organic, analog, weighted style. And by that I mean, for those you'll see a lot of cartoons now where the motion, it's so fast. Characters don't have the same weight that they did if you look at, again, like old school old school Bugs Bunny and stuff. There's just like there's a lot of gravity, and your illustrations always seem to have that gravity, which makes them feel grounded, which makes them feel real to me.
Well, thank you for saying that first of
Yeah.
all, because I appreciate anybody noticing anything I do. But a lot of the things about, a lot of it's the principles of animation, which Disney brought, I guess, to the table way back in the day. And they did, one of them is squash and stretch. And squash and stretch indicates that, the name kind of helps you figure out what it does. But what it does is everything in life kind of needs to build up energy to move, right? We got gravity and whatnot. And in animation, you accentuate and exaggerate everything further so that it really sells. But even in live action, people do squash and stretch. So the whole purpose is, like in this particular case, he's big, he's heavy. And so, as he goes down, as he brings his leg out forward and plants it, his body's going to boom, come down a little because he's heavy. And, and then it's going to take a little bit longer for him to pick his body up from being down there because gravity's pushing against him. And so,
lest we forget, it's a whale you're talking about here.
Yeah. No, I know. It's a silly concept. But
it's a great concept. I mean, but that's the thing, and I love it too. This is what brings so much joy for me, seeing you again doing this, and I'm sure Chris Georginas can attest to it as well, and I'm sure many others. I love as you talk about it and you do the things that you're doing. You also you create the sound. You describe it in the sound that it's making, and that kind of informs how you're illustrating.
Right.
I love that. Those two things to me seem to have to go hand in hand if you're going to have the animation just right and have that feel.
Yeah, I think that's true. I mean, a lot of it is the feel and you can't do any of this stuff without feeling the weight of it. I was just talking with a friend of mine the other day, and he did like a demonstration, and I watched his tutorial, and he was just drawing a guy punching, and as he's doing it, he's flipping between all the things, and he's going.
Right.
And I said, my message back to him was like, dude, it only works if you make that sound. He's like, it's so true.
100%. 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. And I love that, again, I've talked about this, and some of our regulars here, like Umacorn, Robert, Jack, they've seen me do. I was telling you, I did this. Again, this was more of a sound design stream, but similar thing. I was adding all these punch sound effects to this boxing footage, and as I'm laying it out in Premiere and Audition or whatever, even in advance of doing them, I'm saying, okay, it needs more of a or you know,
Yeah,
I can't help but make the sound and you know, sort of create the onomatopoeia for what that sound is, you know.
Yeah.
Which like R. Crumb, I think we talked about him years ago on stream. He was just, you know, in print, a master of that, right? You know, I just remember the one that has always stuck with me is, you know, splorch.
Splorch.
It really sounds like you
Yep.
know what that is when you read it, you know.
Yeah. No, I always loved. I love that stuff. Yeah. And who was the other one? Not Mort Drucker. The other guy that did those. I can't think of his name. What is his name? The guy that. Oh, what am I doing here?
Yeah.
Everything
Stay
he draws
focused.
is
No.
like
Yeah.
this. I can't think of it. More. Everybody he drew was like. They all had these big square faces. I can't remember what his name is. Why can't I remember it? Somebody will know in the chat. It was a Mad Magazine thing, but I always loved. He used a lot of sound effects and everything, that splort and whatnot, which I
Right.
loved that stuff.
Chris just said live Foley. Exactly. You know.
Yeah.
You're doing it in real time. And then I'll even, again, as someone who's done a lot of sound design, I tend to rewind myself. So, you know, I'll do like a and then a just to, to keep me in it, you know, like I have to think about how is it long enough? Does it need more decay? You know?
Yeah.
It gets,
you know,
it gets very weird.
I love I love the way sound effects sound, or just things sound backwards. You know,
Yes.
and
Totally.
I like sometimes people, they'll use it in Stone Temple Pilots used it in a song of theirs once, and I just like, they played, I think it was the guitar backwards, it might have been the drums backwards,
Mm-hmm.
and there's just like this really interesting, like you just descend into this otherly world, you know, like by hearing backwards music and stuff. And I don't know, I've always liked that kind of sound effect, but I can never find a way to use it in any way.
Yeah, right.
I mean, it's cool, and I'm like, oh, that guy he did that one thing. I want to do that. It never sounds right.
Now I'll tell you. So actually, funny you say that. So two things, two anecdotes. One, most famously popularized by the Beatles, 1966, in Rain, backwards tape playing not only guitar but also John singing "When the Rain Comes, They Run and Hide Their Heads." But also in that same boxing stream, again, I was trying to, there was a cutaway where it's kind of this push-in close-up, and to achieve that, the drama of the punch coming in, but also like stopping on the frame of this close-up, I used, it wasn't a punch backwards, but it was some kind of, it wasn't a cymbal, it was some kind of other crash. So a crash, you know,
Right.
but then, you know, it
Oh,
creates
yeah,
that staccato beat. And that's exactly what I did. And that's exactly, so you have this forward punch, but at the same time, simultaneously this, so you get this really tight staccato. I love how we're talking in backwards sound now. We're in good company. Anyone watching right now is like, what is happening?
Anybody making films talks in background.
Yeah, I love it, dude. And Chris is just saying that's where, yes, he's in my recent animated short, I reversed a burn sound effects for when a frog inhales, or a burp sound effect. Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah, his film is great too, by the way.
Yes.
If anybody hasn't seen it, go see it. It's won like 70 awards and whatnot. It's definitely
Totally awesome. And yes, Chris Georginas, keyframer, check him out.
Also,
Put your stuff in X in there, Chris.
And he did it in Adobe Animate as well, and I'm sure he used the rest of the suite for other things as well. But
yeah,
he did it in, which is cool.
Oh, Jack Watson. Yes, Jack, that stream with it's definitely probably 2 years ago, if it's a minute. This stream where I did the boxing sound design stuff. Yeah. It may take a minute to find. If not, I'll see if I can find it and I'll post it in the chat too. Because it really speaks to exactly what you're talking about.
Right.
So now again, as we're going through this, so here we're just kind of handling this walk cycle. So again, as a novice here, what's the Because I can't exactly, I see you're kind of moving through frames. How many frames are you actually animating here? Like, what is this and how much of this? I know a lot of it is sort of copy paste. How much of this, how much time are we looking at in this scene?
This scene is only 150 frames long. The walk cycle is probably going to be 24 frames long. And
Okay.
I'm just working out the basics of it. And so the whole point of a walk cycle is that I want to reuse this walk so that I don't have to spend all this time doing 160 frames of him walking. Back in the old days, they probably would have done that as they got, like old Bugs Bunny cartoons, old Mickey Mouse stuff. They would have used, they might have used walk cycles and then redone the mouth or whatever. But it's actually easier to animate it fully, like, without doing the walk cycle, in the sense that you've got to now, if you don't put the mouth on here, then you have to have a mouth that's overlaid over it. And that's what I'm going for, so that I can reuse the walk, but then put this mouth clip over the character. And I'll tell you that in a second, as soon as I just finish this rough walk.
Nice. Okay. Yeah.
Where it goes. And it, but yeah, I'm trying to save myself some work. This film has 80 scenes in it, and I'm animating it completely alone. And
that's a lot.
It is. It's a lot of work. And, I'm an animator, but I'm more a storyboard artist really than I am, and a director than I am anything else. So I haven't animated traditionally in quite some time, so it's just nice to do. I just figured it was a good thing to start animating, and I wanted to animate it, and nobody else will animate it for me. So, if nobody else will do it, I've got to do it.
That's right.
All right. So we got one more drawing, and then I've got the rough of him, and I need.
And are we going to get to? Are you going to be able to play it for us after you do the last frame? All right, sweet.
Exactly. Yeah. What I need to do now, because it's a cycle, what I did was I took my first drawing, I put that last, so that I can do my last drawing, because my last drawing has to work into my first drawing, or the cycle won't work, and it'll have like a little hitch. And that's almost always what happens when you first do a walk cycle. There's almost always like a little hitch. It almost looks like he's, stumbling, or
I was gonna say skipping out of time or something.
Or like, or just he's got a limp. The limp is a very big thing. And sometimes people like that, and it gives character. But he hasn't been hurt yet, so my character doesn't get hurt in this film. So.
Nick G is saying there's a video of Disney showing how they reused older animated movies to create new scenes in newer animated movies, mainly movies from the 80s and 90s. Oh, interesting.
Yeah. There's one really famous one. There's a couple of them, but one of the famous ones is the original from Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. There's a shot of Snow White dancing with two dwarves, one on each other, so that they're the same height. And then they did that. They reused that that was Milt. I believe Milt Kahl did that. But anyway, they did that again. I'm probably wrong. Somebody's going to go, no, that's not Milt Kahl, because.
All right. But, we'll allow it.
Yeah. But anyway, it's they reused it in Robin Hood and did the exact same thing. And Robin Hood is dancing with two kids. There's one kid called Skippy, who's a little rabbit, and then there was his sister's on top of him or something like that.
Yes.
They're dancing, and they've got like a shirt on over them, but it's the same kind of shot, and they reuse it. Another famous one is from, I want to say it's from, Winnie the Pooh. I don't remember what the other thing, what they reused it for, but hold on, now I'm getting confused. So hold on a second.
Yeah.
Well,
we are doing this live after all. It's all right. It's
I have a lot of.
It's allowed.
Yeah, it's hard to tell the difference between. I've got my first drawing, my second drawing, and yet my brain constantly forgets. Well, wait, is green before?
Right. I was gonna say, do you have a system for your color coding there that green is always first or
no?
whatever?
They're supposed. they're normally green and yellow, and
Okay.
I do them. I change them because I don't like because I draw in red. I don't. It's a holdover from the old days. I used to draw in something called color erase pencil on paper, and I used to draw in red. And a lot of old timers like me like to draw in red. And I don't know what it is. I can draw in red, and I can draw something dead on. If I try and draw in black, it's like it's too official.
It just
My
doesn't.
brain can't officially draw that. But if I draw it in red, I'm like,
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
It just comes together.
Yeah.
By the way, Jack Watson was saying Winnie the Pooh and the Jungle Book.
Oh, Jungle
she
Book.
thinks
Yes.
was the, yeah.
Thank you for that. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
That's exactly it. Yeah. Very cool.
Love that.
Yeah.
I love our informed chat. Thank you, Jack.
For sure. Well, yeah. The internet, right?
Yeah.
Everybody knows. All right. So I think we're just about done with this. Wait, hold on. I got his back foot needs to go here. All right. So now this way, I got to get rid of this one. If I hold down Shift and F5, it will delete a keyframe.
Okay.
So here we go. So now this is on ones, so it's probably fast, but it's funny.
Right. But again, even I love it, and there's still. This is what I'm saying, dude. I'm not trying to be nice. There is something about, and I've seen this with Georgina's too. You in a digital domain. I mean, look, I'm not knocking Pixar, Disney, DreamWorks, whatever. Good for them.
Yeah.
They make a lot of cartoons where you see walk cycles where it's not that it's fast. It just the motion is. Zzz. There's just no gravity. It's not grounded. And even as I watch, or even now as you're playing this slower, I feel it. I feel the weight. I feel that arm moving with the weight of the body. That it's just amazing. I don't know. Maybe
well, and you can.
I'm a fan. I am. I admit it. But there's just something about it that just feels so darned organic to me. I just love it.
It's kind of fun. I mean, that's one of the nice things about hand drawing. I mean, you really do. It really, I don't know, it has a tactile feel to it. Tactile is not the right word, but I can't think of the right word. Mm-hmm. There's something satisfying about it. Like, almost like, like they have that, what do they call them? EMR videos where, like, somebody's just scraping a cantaloupe.
Oh, ASMR? Yes.
Yeah, and that sounds so nice. Yeah, whatever it's called. Yeah, and I don't know, or like, I've seen videos where they're just, building bricks, or making bricks out of things, and somehow there's some satisfying quality to putting, clay into a mold and watching it. I don't know what.
Yeah.
Humans are strange. We're strange.
It's all just art at the end of the day,
Yeah.
By the way, Keys is saying, he says, by the way, the animator that Mike was referring to, but did not mention his name, I think it might be Pete Brownguard. Is that who you might be thinking of, Pete Brownguard?
Which maybe. Well, Pete, I know Pete did he did the new Looney Tunes cartoons, but I don't.
Oh yeah.
I'm not sure. And he did Uncle Grandpa. He's the creator of Uncle Grandpa.
Oh right, yes.
Yeah, and he just did. There's a new movie out that he just finished. You guys should go see it. It's the day the Earth blew up. I think it's a new Porky and Daffy cartoon that's
really
theaters. Yeah, all hand animated, digitally hand animated.
Right, but
really,
hand at isn't it amazing that those characters persist? Actually, so I was just telling you before we started. By the way, you're getting a lot of props for being able to draw walk cycles mid conversation. So yes, that's kind of an amazing task. But we were just talking about before, like how my younger son and I were watching Bugs cartoons from the 40s, and also watching kind of the evolution of the character in terms of, the voice was kind of always there from the beginning, but the actual physical look of the face and the expressions were refined pretty early on. But like, again, we watched, apparently it's like the first 10 episodes from 1940? Or I can't remember exactly.
1930s were the first one.
Okay, so it's maybe even the 30s. Maybe the 40s was when it was the more established Bugs look. But there's really something. It's amazing to me that, like you just mentioned, Porky and Daffy, like how these characters have survived. I mean, we're talking, it's 70, 80, 90 years
Yeah.
practically. It's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, they're my childhood. That's how I learned to animate.
Yeah, mine too. I
We were
mean,
talking
it's
about that before as well. That's the way I learned how to animate. When I was in art school, we used to, at the time, TNT or TBS was playing like a 6-hour block of Bugs Bunny cartoons. So I would record them on my VHS tape player.
yes.
And then I lived with 4 other guys, and we would all come home, sit on a couch, and just watch Bugs Bunny cartoons frame by frame. Just because I could just press the frame button, and we just watched
Yes.
the whole thing like that. And just,
That's crazy, dude. You never shared that with me. That's awesome and amazingly nerdy. Well done.
Yes, well, we would do it, and then we would be like, all right, so how did they do that thing? And we watch it, and then we do it.
That's amazing. One of the so I also would record, the Saturday cartoons and things. I was also really into claymation, so I talked about it here. I had a thing. Not afraid to. I loved Davy and Goliath because I was just really into claymation, and I was just sort of mesmerized. Davey. Yeah. So I used to do that one. I don't know, Davy, and a couple of the others. And so unlike you, so I wasn't watching frame by frame. I would record it on VHS and then have a tape recorder that I would then synchronize, and I would redo the voices of the episode. So I'd like transcribe what they said and then listen to myself doing it back because I like to do voices.
Right.
Like that's another level of weird nerdiness,
Yeah, but I don't know. I resemble that comment, so I'm okay with it.
Yeah, no, exactly. You come by it honestly. Hello, Alessandra Lopez. Nice to see you.
Yeah. No, I mean, I love to do voices. I always have done them.
Yeah.
All of my voices sound like Bugs Bunny, but they all.
You have that. I'll say you have that kind of that era, that classic set. Like again, it's amazing, dude. You do. You have a very real classic sound when you do a lot of these too. I love your voices. I love your accent voices. They're
it sounds classic because it's. Because Mel Blanc was from the Bronx.
Yes, exactly.
I just happen to be from Jersey, so it feels like that, yeah. So, all right. So I've kind of got the basics, and pretty much what I need to do now is just continue to in between it, because while it works, it needs more drawing. But you can see now how like up here the little thing is flopping, and this is overlapping here. The arms are moving back and forth. It still needs a lot of work to tie down, like that the eyes are in the right place and whatnot, but it gives you a sense of what it is. So in animation, I mentioned squash and stretch is one of those things. And, one of the biggest things that people do is a bouncing ball. So, like a bouncing ball will bounce. When it hits and impacts, it'll squash. And then when it builds up that energy, and then will bounce up and stretch until it loses the energy and then straightens back down. And then it'll fall again and squash and stretch again. So this second principle here is the principle of overlapping action. And that's what I'm trying to do with the little, what do you call it? The kerchief knot.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And the same thing with the...
I love it.
Those are that's what I'm trying to do. But the overlapping action is basically this. I mean, and what ends up happening is if I pick up my hand, if I pick up my arm, my hand will trail ever so slightly. And if I bring it up to here, it will eventually come up and straighten, and almost all overlapping action does a figure eight, so to speak, where if I do a figure eight and I have my hand here, my hand will then pull down, and you see the fingers will trail, and then at some point it will do this, and you can kind of see that everything gets pulled. and maybe that's getting too confusing at this point, but that is what it does.
Yeah,
Copy on this. But anyway, that's what I'm trying to do here.
Yeah.
And it works. I cannot get that. I can't get that buckle to work right. It just doesn't work. To start over. To get rid of the buckle. I'm just winging it here.
That's all right. That's all right. We love that. Again, I think that's part of what makes this cool is that we're getting to see that's it. You're being self-critical here. You're like, nah, I'm gonna get this right. We're just gonna redo this piece. Like that's it, right? If you could let it go, but as an artist, you're like, no, I'm gonna get this the way I want.
I could let it go, but that sucks.
Sure, but
we want less.
Could you live with yourself if you did that though?
No, I
yeah,
cannot.
that's the question.
I actually do. I since I started making this film, this is what I think about all night. I dream it. And it's very, very much a part of my psyche. Just animating these days, it's fun. I've been watching like the old classic Disney films. Like I watched, what was it? The Great Mouse Detective last night.
Oh wow!
Which, if you haven't seen it, it's not one of the favorites of.
No, I was gonna say not a huge hit one, but yes, in the canon, if you know it, it's great.
From a drawing standpoint, it's gorgeous. There is some beautiful drawing, beautiful animation in there, and I geek out over that stuff because I can't really draw like those guys and animate that well. I can do it to a degree, but I can fake it well. But some of that stuff is just incredible. What they were able to do, the draftsmanship is out of this world.
Pretty spectacular, yeah. What are some of your favorites in particular? Like, do you have kind of go-to favorites that I don't know?
Yeah, my favorite. My favorites of all is Bugs Bunny, but I do really like. I like Robin Hood is one of my favorite ones, just because I remember seeing that as a kid, not first run as a kid. I think it's from the 50s, but there was like a time that they replayed them all in the theater, and I remember watching Robin Hood the most.
Right.
I like Robin Hood. I really liked Pinocchio. I like those more classic ones. The later ones are cool. Ariel is cool, but I don't know. I tend to like, obviously, anthropomorphic stuff because that's what I'm drawing. But I don't know. There's a lot of forgiving stuff. And this character doesn't look a damn thing like a killer whale, and he doesn't need to because it's a cartoon. Bugs Bunny doesn't look like a rabbit, but when you start getting into like Ariel and the Lion King, you start to now you have to really start to pay attention to anatomy and how does that collarbone fit in, and I don't know. They didn't do that with Bugs Bunny. They knew those principles, they knew it, but they didn't display it to a degree, and they didn't have to because it was simpler animation, and yet still pretty amazing.
Yeah.
But
and that probably also, just again, sort of thinking about having just watched a whole bunch of those, it gave them more license to do things with the anatomy that were not. You wouldn't do it with Ariel because her arm wouldn't stretch across the room to grab a carrot or something. You could play around with the physics and the anatomy, and you had some license to do that because you weren't conformed to, I got to make sure the collarbone looks right, or Bugs' shoulders are rounded the proper way or something like that.
Yeah. It really does make a difference.
Mm-hmm.
I think. Oh, that's so all right. So now I've got my. Wait, where is it? Here it is, my mouth, and it's got some weird thing on it. Yeah, there's a little bit. So the idea is to take this mouth. I have to clean all this stuff up, but I won't do that yet. Just because we only got so much time. But the next step after I clean this up, make everything work so it doesn't suck as much as it does currently, is to make it is to put this lip sync on it. And so what I did is I have this clip of just a mouth, and you can see all the little mouth poses here. And if we just watch it.
May I just go back to being a dumb when you're in a tank?
Hey, this here's a sticker.
May I just go back to being a dumb when you're in a tank?
Hey, this here's a sticker.
That's that other guy that's coming in.
Yeah.
I haven't done him yet, but.
All right, so give us some background on the mouth. Okay, yeah, there you go. Okay, so because I remember seeing you do this, you drew all the mouth shapes in real time, and we were talking the other day in our pre-call a little bit about like Character Animator, and one of the things is that it has kind of all those mouth shapes. You know, you can use characters that have those pre-designed. So how does this? How do you build? This has just always fascinated me. Like, how do you build this out? Obviously, there's standard consonant or vowel shapes. Maybe talk a little bit about that, because it's just it's fascinating to me who looks from the outside.
Well, there are basics, yeah. So what I did here is I have this set of mouths, and what I've done is I've told the program to switch to this particular frame.
Right.
Each time, every keyframe, it tells you down here where to change. Like I can loop it, I can choose to do one frame or whatever. And so that's what I'm doing. But inside that clip is literally just the mouths. And you can see.
I love that with the tongue sticking out.
Yeah.
It looks
well,
so
yeah, that's
good.
usually the one after bleh, because bleh.
Yeah.
And,
but I guess what I'm asking, though, is, I mean, are you conforming to because even when you're just scrubbing that in slow-mo, it looks so darn real. Are you doing ooh, ah, like what are the letters that conform to the shapes that you're drawing there? Or like, is there a standard set that you use?
Yes, absolutely. So what I do is I follow the way we do it in television animation. And in television animation, it was, everything used to be done in the United States. Way back in the day, Bugs Bunny was all animated here. And then in the 60s, I believe it was the early to late 60s, everything changed and television kind of became it became a big thing in the 50s, really. And so then they needed to have animation for television. And that started companies like Hanna-Barbera. And Hanna-Barbera had so much animation they had to do because they were our childhood, really, in the 60s and the 70s, up to the 80s, really. And so they had to figure out like a way to animate this stuff so that it was consistent, because it used to just be every animator gets a scene, they animate the thing, and in a lot of cases, the old Bugs Bunny stuff, just an animator would do the whole thing himself. It was like 1 or 2, 3 animators at the most. And so they had to figure out some conformity to it. And we did that. They did that. And we follow it still to this day in television animation. And we use a code of letters. So this is an A mouth. And the A mouth is always a closed mouth. It's a consonant mouth. It's the M, it's B, mostly those two, and then just closed. And then the next one is the teeth mouth, so it's T and S, right? Yeah. And that's a B mouth. We call that a B mouth. And across the board, this is what all television shows do. You get a mouth chart of what it looks like, and they all follow these mouths. And then this mouth you might in between A and B.
Right.
Move, but that's the basic one. The next one is the first consonant mouth. That's a C mouth, and that's like and E and U, and just the basic mouth open. Then the next one is the D mouth, and the D mouth is just this stuff in between, basically.
Right. Okay.
And then after that, then we start to curve in. And this is called the E mouth. And this one is really just an in-between to the F mouth, which is really even this mouth. And then I did a whole bunch of in-between. So there's like E1, E2, 2,
Yeah.
and F, and then that's just the ooh mouth really. And a lot of times, like I'll use varying degrees of the ooh mouth because from going, if you've got 2 frames to go from this to this, it sometimes pops too much.
It
You
pops
either,
too much.
yeah, you either have to hold the ooh mouth there longer to let it register because they say it takes 8 frames for your brain to register what it's seeing.
Yeah.
So if it takes that long, a lot of the cases, the mouths are moving too fast. You don't really see it. Like, a
Yes.
good example of mouths that I think that go too fast, but doesn't seem to affect the quality is
Right.
on Family Guy. If you watch
Yes.
a Family Guy mouth, they're dead on exactly where they're supposed to be,
Yeah.
but they're too fast, and so you'll see like this flash of a tooth for like 1
Yes.
frame or 2 frames, and then you'll see like just a big red mouth inside, and then it's a tooth, and then a mouth, and it does it so fast it's like almost subconscious, but it
Yes.
works, and you don't really need to do it anymore. But so yeah, so then after the F mouth, this is called a G mouth, and this is f, f. Um, and
Yeah. By the way, I'm like miming the math.
yeah,
Anyone watching
yeah,
this,
yeah.
they're like, "What is he doing?" I'm like, I'm imitating what you're showing on screen. Yeah.
Yeah. And then there's the H mouth, and that's an L mouth. And then I always add a secondary mouth here for that,
I love that.
so that because it animates better if it comes off the teeth and go, "Bleh," and then and again, it gives you more frames to watch it happen. So this is I don't know what this is. This is really just an in between. I put it in the wrong place. It was an afterthought. But the problem with, I can't move it in the position where it needs to go, because if I do that, all my lip sync will be off because it's beholden to the frames that I use.
Right.
And so if I slide it somewhere else, then it'll screw it up and it won't work.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Chris is saying that's how we did it on Dr. Katz, a 5-frame loop. We used to have mirrors at our workstations to mimic the expressions we were trying to draw. That's
right.
That's cool.
So now Adobe actually has a lip syncing tool built into Adobe Animate, and you can see that's what it's basically saying is set up the visemes. Visemes?
Right. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Visemes. Anyway, so it's saying what are the neutral poses? So that's my neutral pose, and I can just say I want this to be him defaulting, and then you can go through each one of them and figure out what the ah mouth is. So I'm going to say this is the ah mouth. I'm going to say that. It's hard to read those for some reason.
Now, was this always in Animate, or is this a newer-ish
feature? Newer version of it, yeah. And so what you'll do is when you say it, I mean, it'll take me a while to set this all up, so I probably won't do it. But
sure,
what it does is it will go through. If you tell it, well, which frame or what audio do you want to use? See, right now it's saying sync with audio in layer 2. Yeah. And so what it'll do is then it will try and animate this stuff based on what keyframes I tell it are okay. And, it's you brought up Character Animator, and Character Animator does exactly this as well, where it uses the visemes. Phonemes? Is it phonemes or phenomes? Phonemes. It must be, because M's. This one says M's. It's probably M's. But I don't know.
Yeah, I'll let you ride on that one. I know that, and visemes. I've always, is it visemes? That sounds too much like the eye drop. So I think it's
yeah.
Phonemes.
See if I can get this to do it.
A lot of love for that tongue.
Oh yeah.
That's also, dude, it's just one of those things. I don't know. It's just like the color choice, and again, when you see the inside of the mouth and the tongue, it's 2 colors, right? But something about it is just so, yeah. I don't know what it just feels so real, and just it's so appealing. That seems weird, but you know what I mean. There's just something about it. That mouth is so appealing. But don't clip that.
Yeah,
it's just cool. Yeah.
Yeah. But so anyway, that's the answer to what you were saying. Yeah. Yes, it is. It's there's a method to the madness. It's not me that came up with all this.
By the way, you've got a couple questions. Andrew Wilson was asking here. Do you have a Patreon, Mike?
I do have a Patreon. Thank you for asking that, my friend. I appreciate that. Yeah, I do, but I don't know how to share it to you. It's let me see. It's just
Oh, we just lost Mike. Okay, stay tuned, everybody. Hold on. We'll get him back. I don't know what just happened. He clicked away to something and we lost him. Hold on. He probably doesn't know. We lost you. Okay. Oh, there we go. We're back. Yeah.
But anyway, it's Milo Works. MILOWERX.
Okay. And you need to reshare your screen too.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, hey, listen. That's we got it done quickly. This is live.
Yeah.
Andrew's saying the shark got you. You know.
Yeah, I got bit by the shark. Yeah.
That's right.
Absolutely. Anyway, thank you for asking that. So
Okay. All right. We are back. Yay. All right.
Yay. So,
We've done this before, you know.
Yeah, this isn't new.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. So the whole point of this is that I have this background here that I'm ultimately going to pan. And hold on, let me just change the properties to be visible. And there, now you can see the background.
Oh, nice.
That I painted. And so you can see he's going to walk across it, and I'm going to pan this background so that it moves exactly at the frames that he is, and which is kind of hard to see probably at this point, but create a classic tween. If I right click over anything, I'm just doing things. I should probably say what I'm doing.
Yeah, no. That's, yeah.
But so here's one of the things that you can do in Animate is you can slide stuff, you can move things. It's called a tween. It will basically move anything from position A to position B. And there's different kinds of tweens. I don't really use the motion tween. I use a classic tween because I'm classic.
You're classic, yes.
That is classic. And so now I need to turn on the animatics so I can see, and I have to turn off the BG, which is why I had the BG at. Right, so it's moving right from the beginning, and then it stops right here. So I'm gonna I'm gonna hit F6 so that I got another keyframe. I'm going to turn off my animatic, turn the background back on, and start him back here.
Yeah.
And then now the background will pan.
Just go back to being.
See? Except that now I see that he's in the wrong place. And see, this is exactly why you do things like storyboards.
Exactly.
I
Yep.
need to know where is he gonna hit here.
Right.
So I have to know that this character is. No, and actually he has to be in the center, and then I have to do this, which means that now I see that I have to paint the background further. So that's
right. There we go.
Yeah, that actually works. And
That's
I mean,
awesome.
Yeah, the lip sync's not working exactly. You know what we can do though? Here, let's do this really quick so you can actually see it a little bit better. I can select all of the frames by adding multiple frames here. You've got that one that looked like MasterCard. That was the onion skin. This one edits multiple frames. And then you get this little, I don't know what you call these things, little frame range here. And I'm just going to select them all and change them to black so that they can be seen slightly better on that background. And now you can kind of.
May I just go back to being it?
Let's turn the background back. I could write.
And can we zoom up?
I'll
the
zoom
stage
in.
too.
I'm just trying to get the. Let's see.
Yeah, that's really awesome.
Yeah, you can actually see that better now here if we still.
Oh, and Jack posted your Patreon in the chat, so thank you for that.
Oh, thanks. Thank you so
Send
much.
some love to Mike Milo. Milo Works on patreon.com.
May I just go back to being a dumb?
So you get a sense of what's going on. The mouth is throwing it off, but
May I just go back to being a dumb?
I don't know, man. The mouth looks pretty good to me. I mean,
well, it'll work better once I anchor it. One thing I noticed I didn't do on this character, he has like a little I should do it in here. He has like a little line that connects his mouth to his eye so that it kind of works.
yeah.
And this doesn't work right now, so he needs like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then that, see, that actually does make a difference.
Yeah.
And then I can take this, and then now I can go back and find where that mouth is supposed to go, which is right here. It may not work. Yeah, see, it's not working now because now he's bouncing up and down. So now I would have to take that mouth, and now I'll make a keyframe and I'll slide it down up here. Do the same thing here.
And much like After Effects, as you're dragging and making those moves, it's creating the keyframes for you, so you don't have.
Well, I've actually got my hand on. It doesn't do that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. It's not like After Effects in that regard. I have my hand on the F6.
Oh, okay. There you go. Okay, see? Yeah, I can't see your hands.
Yeah. Well, I have to do
shortcuts.
That
Got it.
because otherwise it's just going to do the last one I already did.
Yeah.
And I mean, this is very down and dirty. I would be much more careful.
Sure. We like down and dirty, though. That's awesome.
Demonstrate what the purpose is. So now you kind of see it.
Yeah.
And I can just keep doing that, and it'll. That one of the things about animation, it really is ugly when you start it out, and you really have to do a lot to make it pretty. And
yeah.
I'm just demonstrating the very, very basics, but I will go back into this, and I will probably reanimate this thing 4 times before I.
Right. But what I think is really interesting, Mike, is too, I mean, even in this kind of down and dirty way, you're seeing, first of all, it's revealing in your very quick onion skinned, walk cycle, just how much movement and bounce there. Again, all of these things that you're doing to create that weight and gravity of the character, which adds to more just, and really slap me virtually if I keep saying realism. I don't know if that's I mean that in the most positive. It's just something about it just feels so organic and real to me. It's just awesome. It's awesome to see.
Thank you very much. I think a lot of it's that illusion of life.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. That's exactly it.
And that's what all the Disney animators and the Warner Brothers animators did in order to make it come alive. It's those principles of animation that bounce, that squash and stretch, the overlapping action. The another animation thing is anticipation. You can't jump without bending down to build up the pressure. Right. You need to build up energy in order to release it, and that's why things look good.
But this is you just nailed it again, dude. And this is what I was saying earlier. Right. So you jump. There has to be that pre-spring action, which then gets the jump to happen. But this is what I find is so incredibly lacking in a lot of the modern animated movies, is that isn't there. It goes from, crouching down to you don't see any of that springiness.
Right.
I'm not saying never. Sure, there are some, but there's so many countless ones. I won't throw any in particular under the bus today, but there's so many of them, and I think more common than not. And I guess it's less work, I guess, if you don't have to showcase that. But why do you think that? I mean, surely you see that too, right? Where they don't they don't adhere to that concept.
I think that animators like, Pixar animators are more concerned with realism. They want to make sure that the whole thing is so real, and they spend so much time on the hair and the little corkscrews in the hair and the
Mm-hmm.
the stubble on the face and
Right. Yes.
traditional animators don't really worry about that stuff to begin with.
Right.
And that stuff's added later on. And I mean, it's true that in 3D it's added later on as well, but they're really trying to get real, and I'm not trying to do that because unfortunately in a real world, or maybe fortunately, killer whales can't walk on land. It would probably be bad if they could. Probably nobody on this chat is old enough to remember Land Shark from there was a skit, many skits on Saturday Night Live way back in the day, and Dan Aykroyd, we will probably remember from Ghostbusters, and I don't know what he's done since then, but anyway, he had this whole skit where he would do Land Shark, and like people would like people be sitting in their house, and you'd hear a knock on the door, and somebody, and then like you'd be like, "Who is it?" And you'd hear Land Shark, and then you're like, "Land Shark? I'm not."
That's in like the Jane Curtin era, right? I seem to remember that. Yeah.
You're gonna eat me. I know you're gonna eat me.
Right.
Oh, I won't eat you. I'm not. And then, yes, you are. You're a land shark, mailman.
Right. But yeah, dude, you rightfully correct. I'm not going to say realism anymore because you're right. It's not it. It's the essence of the anticipation, which is the same in music, by the way. As someone who went to Berkeley and studied jazz and all that, like the art of anticipation, Chris knows this too, is what makes the groove and everything in that and the pocket come to life. And that's the thing here. And that's what I find in all the stuff of yours that I see. And that's what IMHO is lacking in a lot of those other productions because, right, they're nowadays, you're totally right. In fact, this was my criticism of Toy Story 4, which was, good, still a bit of a tearjerker, I'll admit. But it was so focused on just looking, like all the backgrounds and everything just looking real and kind of beyond the uncanny valley that, for me, it was a good story. It wasn't the best, for my opinion, of the four, whatever. But there was so much of that spent on the realism that it took me out of it a bit. I don't need Woody to look like an actual living, breathing human.
Right. No, I don't need to see see what the texture on his vest.
Yeah. Some people like that, I guess. It's great. Good for you. I just... Yeah, it takes me out of it. I'm trying to think if there was another one recently that I saw where there was such a focus on, like you said, like stubble and, like blemishes on the skin on the animated character. And I just thought, okay, it's so real. It's like grotesque, in the traditional sense of the word. Like there's something just like off about it to me. It just took me out of it. I'm like, this feels too real.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like a cartoon anymore or an animated series.
If everything is realistic, what's the point in the cartoon? I mean,
yeah.
Look, Disney's proving that by re-releasing every single thing they've ever done in 2D. So that doesn't surprise me at all.
Yeah. Keys is saying there's a component of nostalgia in all of this argument. Yeah, I mean, I suppose there is that, and just, again, preference to what you like when you watch something animated. And I can still look at, I remember when Monsters Inc., right, that was one of those pivotal moments in digital animation where it's like, oh, the fur. Remember that? It was like, oh, the fur has so much detail and light shining on the fur. You go back and look at that movie now, it's hilarious, it holds up. But again, it's all about the fur. All the other bits and pieces, they look very composited. And then you had with like Finding Nemo, it was all about water, right?
Yeah.
It was about the reflections and refractions of light in the water and how it affected everything underwater. And
or Brave.
Brave was another. Yes.
Through Hair, which was just amazing when you think about like what they were achieving. But at the same time, I mean, it almost seems like in every film, maybe not now, but back then when they were really laying the groundwork, in every single film they did, they had like one trick that they were gonna do that film, and that was the trick, and they were about to, use that one thing the whole film, and I always liked that and liked to watch it, but I don't know, get kind of tired of it.
Yeah.
You know what?
Oh, yeah. John Williams is saying, knock, knock, land shark. Yes.
Yeah. There you go. Finally, somebody remembers it. Yeah, land shark was
yes.
great. I don't know.
Nick is saying he just watched it too. So.
Oh, there you go. See, I don't know. It made me laugh. It was just
it's funny
at the time.
Yeah. It's
and he kept on like trying to, like, so when you were like, I'm not letting in you, you're a land shark.
Right.
You'd hear this pause and he'd go, mailman.
Right. Yes.
You're still
right.
the shark, aren't you?
Same voice. Same. Right. 10 not even 5 seconds later. Yeah.
I just laughed. It cracked me up every time I saw it. It used to make my dad lose his lunch. He thought it was so funny.
I love that. All right, so just as a reminder for everybody watching, again, we're watching Mike Milo. You can check him out on Facebook at The Real Mike Milo. Also, Milo Works on Patreon. We've got about another approximately 10 minutes, Mike, just so you know, as far as a character. Went fast.
It really went fast. Of course, now I'm also thinking, I remember the original streams, they used to be 3 hours long.
Yes,
right?
That's what I'm saying. You were among the OGs who did those 3-hour streams.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, when that all started, I got asked to go to, what was it, like your 5-year anniversary, I think. And no, it wasn't. It was Flash's. I don't remember what it was. There was some kind of special anniversary that you guys were doing, and you asked me to come up to San Francisco, and which I did, and it was fun, and that's when I met you.
Yeah.
And I had a lot of fun animating something live in front of, I don't know how many people.
Yeah, it was a lot of people in those days too.
And then because I did it, I came back down, and then you guys had the regular streaming. I really loved doing that. It was so much fun.
I don't know if for any of our chat mods, are those archives still on because those are a lot of those I think were Twitch.
Yeah, they were. I have them all. Every one I did. They're all on my YouTube page.
Oh, nice. Okay, yeah, great.
Yeah, but yeah, they were
out on his YouTube too. What is your YouTube, by the way? Is it the same? Is it Milo Works?
Yeah, I think it is. Well, hold on, let me look and not change the tab.
Yeah, don't. I can look for it if you just want to keep going. You don't have to do that.
It's Milo Works. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think it's Milo Works.
YouTube.com/Milo Works. WERX.
Yeah. You know, sometimes.
All right, Jack's on it. Thank you, Jack.
Oh, thanks, Jack. Yeah, Jack's useful. Appreciate it.
We love Jack.
Yeah.
The Real Milo Works. That's your YouTube.
Oh,
okay.
You know what? I think I just changed that so that it matched because it
was
like AFGKB XYLMNOP
yes,
kind of thing.
Yes.
And
consistency. That's how people find you. I know.
Yeah. Well, I made the mistake of, I don't know, like that Milo Works thing was originally, I was doing a play on an old animator named Ub Iwerks, who was the original animator of Mickey Mouse. It wasn't Walt Disney like you would think. Ub Iwerks was his friend, and he spelled Works was WERX, as I remember it. And
okay.
So it was like this play on words that I was trying to be smart, and in hindsight, it was really stupid because everybody's like, "What's your name? What is that?
Right.
Where is that again?" And I'm like,
You misspelled yourself into internet obscurity. You know.
It was just stupid. But
listen, man. I became Beetlejuice in 1988. It was my AOL email account.
Right.
That was I think the same year as Beetlejuice. So it was kind of a play on that because I'm a huge Beatle fan. And come 18 years later when Twitter happened, I was just like, I still wanted to be kind of incognito. I was like, I'll be Beetlejuice. But kind of to the detriment of growing my following there for a long period because I didn't even have my real name in there at the time. I think it just said Jason. I didn't even have my last name.
Right.
So it's Beetlejuice. How do we find you? No one would know that. Yeah. By the way, I just want to point out, coming off LinkedIn, where we have a ton of people watching live, so thank you so much. John Williams is saying, I am so vibrating on this frequency, man. You're filling my tiny little head with tons of ideas. Thank you. So thank you, John.
That's cool.
That's great.
I love to hear that. I mean, it's so nice to, since the pandemic, everybody got shut down and stuff. We were in California. We were shut down for like over 2 years, and I worked virtually. During the pandemic, I had 13 jobs, from one to another to another, and it was all virtual. And I'm sure a lot of you people had to do it as well. And it was it was difficult, and I missed talking to people. I get so damn lonely from not talking to people. So I really enjoy connecting with people again, because I'm a hermit. I never.
Well, and I imagine just by the nature of this kind of work too, it's easy to get lost in it, right? For long periods of time, where you just don't have outside contact. Hence the abundance of voices.
In my head, yes.
Yeah. Listen, I come by it honestly, so I know exactly what you mean. But yes. I mean, that's it. You're animating. You're not talking to yourself. You're talking as the character, and then eventually you're like kind of talking to yourself because you're the only one in the room.
Yeah. No, I do that all the time.
Yeah, me too. I mean,
I'm
no shame at all.
I'm a very big self-effacing person, and so it's just as well that everybody's not in the room with me all the time, because I do something wrong and I'm way too hard on myself. I'm like, you stupid idiot, why would you do that? I don't know. We're all like that, I guess, or hopefully you're not all like that.
I'd say as far as artists go, we're among many who do similar things. Yeah. Actually, I remember I had one of those moments on stream. I can't remember the poster. This was back in the Twitch days, and I can't remember what I was doing specifically. Something I remember it was After Effects, and I kept messing something up, and I was getting really mad at myself and saying like, you idiot. And someone in the chat was like, hey, like, stop doing that. They were upset with me for getting mad at myself. And I thought, okay, you're right. Actually, right. I'm not alone, doing this in front of hundreds of people. Yeah. So I should probably keep it to myself for a moment,
Yeah. No, yep. I've had people do that too, where they're just like, you're not an idiot. I'm like, I know, I just feel like an idiot right now.
Yeah.
But, there's nothing
that.
to do about that.
And Savas says hello. John Williams, imposter syndrome? Not me. Haha. Yeah. Keys says, we, the schizophrenic plural.
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
Definitely.
I mean,
voices.
I've talked about it a lot on stream too with my kids. I mean, they're older now, but even still, I don't think I've ever, I'm sure at least a few times, but I almost never call them by their name, because I just make up ridiculous names all the time.
Right.
Which are usually named after animals or inanimate objects. But also, it's just a sea of weird voices all the time. Like all the time. We're just always, even my youngest comes up to me, and he's getting really good at voices. And I mean, he'll do some weird, creepy, guttural thing from afar, like throw his voice, and it really freaks me out.
Yeah.
Because again, I'm in here, head down in Premiere or something, or Audition, and suddenly, hey, Dad, it's like really creepy. Little body making this sound.
I did that once, way back in the day. There used to be this thing in Los Angeles. It was a bookstore for actors and stuff. One of the things that they had was like CDs and cassettes of different dialects and voices that you could learn. And I bought this Chicago accent one, because I can talk in New York, obviously, but the Chicago one is a little
Chicago's very different, yeah.
Yeah, and what they always said was like, if you keep your mouth like this and you do this, you can talk like Chicago. And I was so I practiced it for a couple of days, and then I called my best friend Harry, and I called him up and pretended that I was like, somebody collecting a debt, and I would. And,
that's hilarious and mean, but I love it.
I went on and I was just like, yeah, hi, is this Harold? Yeah, this is Harold. Oh, well, you owe $3,000.
Oh my God.
What are you talking about? I don't know anything. No, it's I'm positive. We've got it right here. And he he was just like, "What are you talking about?" And I knew too many, details about his personality, and
Right. You could lean
it
into it.
freaked him
Oh,
out.
that's
And
hilarious.
then I had to explain to him who I was, and even then, it took him a minute to go, "Oh, you."
So, Mike, I hate to cut your story off, but we are in our last 45 seconds here. So, for everybody watching, again, thank you so much for tuning in. I don't know if you want to just scrub through the timeline real quick before we have to say our goodbyes here.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Just real fast. Again, counting down here so we don't get the band hammer. It's
May I
coming.
just go back to being a dumb whale in a tank?
Hey, this
Oh,
here's
that's just awesome,
May I
man.
just go back to being a dumb whale in a tank?
hey, this here's
Yeah, it'll work when it's done.
All right. Well, listen, we're going to bring you back, and we loved having you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for everybody watching. Again, you can catch Mike on FB, The Real Mike Milo. Catch him on Patreon and on YouTube. We got more on Adobe Live today, so stick around for that. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you, Mike, and we'll see you again
Thanks,
on the next
guys.
one.
Take
Take care, everybody.
See you later,
Bye-bye.
Jake. Bye.